Hey guys, the weekend is here. I'm going to do around 40 normal summons and 1 divine summon. I am going to be summoning for Apsan because I like new shiny stuff. And I think he'll be good for future content. I'm pretty sure there will be Gear Raid 3 stages 19 to 21 coming up in future. So I really want him for that. I think he'll be very strong. If you're wondering whether or not you should summon on this banner, generally I would say summon on the 2x. The 2x is pretty much the best thing to do if you're newer to the game. If you've been in the game for a while and you don't need lots of extra heroes, you have a good foundation, then it's not too bad. Also, if you really need a Dolores, it's not a bad idea, potentially. It depends how many summons you have. It's still not fantastic, honestly, but Dolores is crazy good. So if you don't have a Dolores, then I would be tempted to say it, but generally speaking, you want to go for the 2x instead of 10x events. Anyway, there has also been a big patch drop. We'll go over that a bit later, but first off, let's do some summons and see if we can get anything cool. My hope is pretty much just Apsan, but I don't really have enough summons to have a good chance at getting legendary, so I think they're just an epic there. Though they did say they've updated the animation. Wow, okay. I got a Dolores. Let's continue with the summons. That looks too slow. Yeah, they've changed the animation, it said in the patch notes, so maybe I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to spot it. I'm assuming it's when it speeds up the fastest is how you know you've got one. But these are kind of similar to how they were before, I think. I'm just going to say it's not and assume based on how it was previously. I don't really have enough summons to actually hit it, I think. Getting a legendary off of 40 summons is not great odds, really. But you never know, right? This is what we play for. We are gamblers at heart. Okay, let's do it 10x and get through this disappointment quickly. Wonderful. Nothing hurts more than doing a 10x and not even getting a purple. That is a really, really painful aspect of this game, I think. Oh, okay, I got one. Lovely. Oh, and I got Apsan. Yo! I feel blessed today. Okay, now normally I'm a real greedy guy and I cannot help but keep summoning. But I got Apsan and I'm bloody chuffed with that. And in my opinion, Apsan's awakenings suck. Maybe I'm wrong, but they seem like they suck to me. His awakening will allow him to have battle spirit during his glory recalled. And glory recalled seems strong, but it's only after he's deployed. It basically allows him to throw these piercing javelins of every basic attack for 15 seconds. Attack interval is 2.6, so he's going to get like 5 or 6 attacks in maybe during glory recalled. So he's going to get 15% extra attack for 5 or 6 attacks that are splitting and hitting 2 enemies. But that's an awakening. I mean I fluked out majorly there, so I think I'm gonna pass on this banner for now. I'm chuffed. That was perfect. Happy days. I'm gonna go back to the 2x because I want to get some awakenings, especially since they've done my girl in pretty bad, and now my welcome back, Cyclone. Since they've butchered Estrid, I'm afraid, which we'll go over later. But yeah, I think that's gonna hit my guild boss team pretty hard, and I'm gonna need some extra power to help me out. Okay, this is the last summon I have, and it is a divine. Let's go on the 2x. I got lucky. I got my Apsan. I don't need to keep going, and that's just an epic, unfortunately. That's okay. I got lucky. I have no complaints whatsoever. For a tiny summoning session to get the new hero, I am more than chuffed. And I actually did kind of want him as well. So, Apsan, welcome aboard. Let's go level up his skills. I actually have a lot of hope for Apsan, so I think I'm going to chuck legendary skill crystals at him, and then I can also play with him this weekend, and maybe I'll make a video covering him. Something else to know for this weekend, there is a pretty big player on my server. I think he's whaled a fair amount. I'll be surprised if he hasn't. And he's got a load of stuff on his account, and he wants me to summon for him. So I think maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to be doing like 700 summons on someone else's account, and then I'm going to look at helping them out. So it'll be like a account takeover. My goal is to try and push him through Guild Boss to get an even higher score than he has, and hopefully to clear Gear Raid 2 for him. So stay tuned for that. That should be really fun. And as is tradition, all of these skill ups are not going into the ultimate. I mean, yeah, there we go. As is tradition, just completely ducked the ultimate. And I do want this because the thing I'm really interested in with Apsan is his Deadly Assault has a 450 rage cap, and it goes down to 400 at max skill. That is very low. It means rage boosters aren't quite as effective on him. They are percentage based, so it's kind of the same on everyone, but your passive regen is going to outstrip the percentage regen from a booster because his rage cap is so low. any attack is going to be giving him quite a lot of rage back, I believe. I think that's how it works. So he should be just completely restoring his ultimate very quickly, and it's auto as well, so we should be very interesting to see. But yeah, there we go. I'm happy with that. I've got him maxed on skills already. That was my last skill crystal, which I just got this morning from Guild Boss. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. So I'm gonna play with him today and see what I can figure out. But for now, let's have a look at the patch notes, shall we? Okay, I'm back. It was later in the day. I've geared him a bit differently, not very differently. I just wanted to give him some attack speed, as I think it's fairly useful for him to reduce his base time. I have tested him minimally, so this is very pinch of salt at the moment. Expectedly, he sucks in Guild Boss. With mine geared like this, with a Dolores and with a Hollow, he was only doing like 7 to 8 million on Nightmare 3, which is pretty appalling, but that's expected. If you look at his kit, it is entirely focused on airborne damage as well as hitting multiple targets. So obviously he's not going to be a Guild Boss hero. I did test him quite briefly in Gear Raid 3, and it was kind of mixed results. He does hit very hard. He is very strong, does definitely do very good damage, and the bouncing from his piercing attacks as the Javelin does seem to kind of home in on the target. It does actually do a lot of damage. However, many of these fighters that have ranged options, they kind of have a hit like 3 in front of them, and then, you know, an extended extra 2 tiles in front there, and that's kind of their range. Namely, Zilla 2 and Arrogance are the two that pop to mind, and I believe Araka is the same. However, for these 3, when their ultimates are active, it kind of extends outward, and they have a bigger attack range, and it's quite nice then. Apsan, on the other hand, does not have that, so his attack range is kind of not great. And I think maybe you need to have a Piercer Lord for him to shine. So if you don't have Lunaria or Araka, I would actually suggest not pulling for Apsan at the moment, because I do think the Piercer Lord will actually be incredibly necessary for him to shine. I really do think you need this increased attack range for him to actually be really particularly worth it. But when we move to the Airborne Arena Day, I will be using him and testing him. For my initial tests in GR3, he does seem potentially useful. I think he is probably going to be mainly used for future GR3, which I'm expecting new stages for very soon, and they are kind of hinted at in the patch notes, which we're going to get into right now. So, alright, this is the recent update notice announcement. The servers are not mentioned here, but it is mentioned on the official Discord in the game news tab, and unfortunately it does specify in that tab it's coming to servers 1 all the way through 49,002. I'll list them all here. Unfortunately, that does not include 40,001 nor 40,002, who are currently behind an update already. So you guys are missing out on the stamina changes, and you're missing out on these changes at the moment, which is very annoying and unfortunate. So I'm sorry for you guys. Hopefully there'll be announcements soon bringing you back up to date with us. Just to repeat, this is not going to be on 40,001 nor 40,002 just yet. But for everyone else, this is live as of today. So let's go over it. Everyone got 100 diamonds as compensation for the minimal downtime. And they have also made some changes to max stamina, privilege card perks, gear, new gear, heroes, and some of the daily, weekly, monthly quest rewards. A bunch of generalized stuff, but first off, heroes and artifacts. The legendary limited hero Captain Reeve, who was available last October over a Halloween event only. They have granted him a new talent. You obtain additional gold in battle by 6%. So that's quite a strong passive benefit to have. And there is a new passive after Razak is activated in Hero Gallery. So after you've pulled Razak, increased gold obtained through battle by 6%. And you may be wondering, who is Razak? Well, Razak is not in the game currently. However, if you complete a mission, you can see on the right side Pirate's Bond. And you can see deployed Captain Reeve, as I did use him in this run just now. And you can see there's also an unowned hero here, though it says 10% XP earned through battle, and that says Razak. So it seems Razak, whenever he comes out, well, he'll have XP gains, and he'll also grant Captain Reeve bonus gold, so maybe there'll be a vice versa thing going on. But there is no hero in the game currently named Razak. I believe there was mentioned that there might be another new hero coming next weekend, which means we're going to have like 4 or 5 heroes released over the last month alone, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's the only spoiler I have for you as to who Razak is. Alright, back to the patch notes. So, next up is Estrid. These changes are really unpopular. There's been a lot of dirt flying around on the Discord already, unfortunately. New talent basic attacks have a 25% chance to trigger 2 strikes. Blaze Storm has been changed. It seems to now just grant an additional 70 attack speed. And at max skill, it seems to be the same otherwise, but there is just a difference in the attack speed at max skill. At lower levels, the scaling is a bit different. Crack is a passive that Estrid has that allows her to apply a defense break. And you can see before it's a 40% chance to apply a 30% break for 8 seconds. It is now a 30% chance to apply a 30% death break for 5 seconds. So you may think that's not the biggest loss, it's 10% chance less and 3 seconds less. Well, that's not the problem. The next thing is a problem. Awaken 3 previously made the debuff permanent, so you could hit once, get rid of Estrid, and the boss would still have a 30% defense down debuff. However, afterwards, that awakening is being changed to, during the effect of Bladestorm, her ultimate, there was a 25% chance to trigger 2 strike, which is not what she's used for, right? So, I don't know, I think she's kind of just gone now. No one's going to use her anymore. She's still going to be a solid epic hero. If you're worried, if you're early to mid game and you use Estrid a lot, she'll probably be better for you in a lot of cases. But for most endgame players like myself who've been using her in Guild Boss to apply a permanent defense break, unfortunately that's not the case anymore. She's not very useful in that capacity. So yeah, a lot of her endgame use has kind of just been removed completely. This nerf kind of sucks. People would argue, well, it's kind of insane that one hero can apply a permanent defense break, and I do agree with you. I actually do think perhaps it is a bit too much. My counter argument is they nerfed Theowen not too long ago. He's the epic fusion marksman. He was quite a valuable hero for a lot of people. Nerfing him felt like not a great decision because he's a fusion hero, he's an epic. It's kind of a good thing to have in the community. Accessible, powerful heroes that are useful. Now we have this change to Estrid nerfing another epic hero. I'm not keen on that personally. I can understand maybe it's a bit strong, but I don't think that's where the priority should be right now. And additionally to that, about a month ago they nerfed epic lords so that they could buff the legendary lords. Again, I could kind of see why they want to differentiate them, but why do they have to keep hurting the free-to-play characters? Like, we need these. We need the epic heroes to be useful. There is already a cavernous gap between most legendaries and most epics. Nerfing the few epics that are useful feels like an incredibly poor decision. So I would urge the developers to reconsider. If they want to be nerfing things to balance them, please give something back to the epic heroes. Make Cyclone useful. Do something to make epics more useful in the game. My main concern following this is that, well, what's next? They've nerfed Theowen, they've nerfed Estrid. Are they going to nerf Wrath next? Are they going to nerf Dolores? If they bring out a legendary version of Dolores and then nerf Dolores, that would be crippling for the majority of players. So I'm a bit concerned about that. It feels like they're trying to undermine epics and force people to use legendaries. So I am concerned about this direction. I think it's okay for people to use epic heroes. I think it's a good thing that epics are viable. I don't think we need more nerfs to epic heroes. Aveline, she is the centaur lady that no one uses as a defender. She's been added to 2 factions, the North Throne and the Watchguard. She's been added awakenings. They've optimized hero AoE damage mechanics. This seems to be a general change. I don't think this is just for Aveline. It's kind of weird that they threw this in here, but this is actually probably one of the biggest notes of the patch change. So before, for generic AoE mechanics for heroes, the damage will be reduced if you hit more than a specific number of targets. So I don't know what the threshold is, but let's say you hit 30 enemies, then the damage you're dealing is being reduced somewhat. This is the thing that's quite prevalent in a lot of games, but I didn't know it was actually in Watcher of Realms. Afterwards, they have removed this cap on damage. I'm hoping this will help us kind of push past GR 120. This might be helping quite a bit since it seems to be a buff to AoE damage in the context of having lots of enemies. Anyway, there are a bunch of other changes to her. I won't go over these individually because no one uses her, I don't use her, and after these changes I don't intend to use her. But there they are if you want to pause it and have a look at them. I have nothing really to say other than sure, she's a bit tankier. So, stages and gear. 2 new gear sets, Bangle, Amulet and Ring. So this is accessory sets. Morale. When on the field, all allies deal 4% bonus damage. It does not stack. I'm glad they said it doesn't stack. But it seems pretty good to me. 4% damage for free. Why not? You're going to put it on someone. You'll put it on a Hollow or a Dolores or anyone you can whose damage output doesn't matter too much. I would probably not put it on a Dolores personally. I think the other set that came out recently, Invigoration, is better for Dolores than this. And even still, if you don't have an Invigoration, I would probably use the Glacier set. And next there is Unshaken Will, plus 20% HP, and when being attacked, recover 5% of max HP, triggering up to 1 time every 10 seconds. Seems to be a pretty good set for anyone who scales on HP. Even HP healers that you could consider using this on, especially for Gear Raid 2, it would be quite helpful. Before we get into the rest of this, I just want to point out, I don't know how you get these gear sets yet, because if you go to Gear Raid, they are not listed here. This is the Ancient Wrath, and this is Invigoration, this is the Epic Defender, and this is the Epic Fighter. I assume they're going to be added to Gear Raid 3, so maybe we will have Gear Raid 3 stages 19 to 21 added soon, which could coincide with Apsan coming into the game, as he is a fighter focused on airborne combat. And if we check in here as well on the drops, it's not included on the stages. So, unfortunately, there is no current way to get hold of the new sets they've added, though they do seem quite interesting as sets go. So, returning back to the gear, adjusted Fatality. So previously it was just a 12% ignore on resistances. Now it'll also grant 3% attack, which I think is something. It's pretty nothingy, but it's something. They've increased the XP obtained from certain raids. We don't know what the details are. Now you can unlock the artifact materia raid a bit sooner. They've reduced the difficulty of some storyline stages, and they've reduced some damage from the bosses in the storyline. and they've optimized some displays and stuff for storyline. They've made some tweaks to the achievements and quests throughout the game. They've optimized certain quests in Heroes Path. I have a website, mybucket.com, and there is a full guide to the Heroes Path. These optimizations will make mine a bit out of sync, so if you do see any discrepancies, please send me a screenshot and I will update it. Appreciated, thank you. And they have added several daily, weekly, monthly quests for more choices and rewards. This is actually a really good change. This is probably my favorite change from this update, and I'll show you why. So I am really bad at doing these. I often don't think it's worth the effort because, hey, you need to summon every day. I'm not going to waste. It's not worth summoning on not a weekend, or you have to make sure you do every single other thing, and it kind of just is annoying. It's a bit of a chore, right? But if you count, there is actually now 11 daily quests to do. I think it's a lot easier and less annoying than it was before. The weekly quests have also been changed to be a bit more rewarding, and there's also monthly changes as well. So you can see I've actually hit the monthly reward and I haven't done the daily quest 25 times. So this means you're no longer beholden to doing the daily quest 25 times a month, which I think is a really, really good change, and there's more rewards in general. So I think the changes to the quests are very positive. For me personally, I just love that I don't have to worry about doing my daily quest X amount of times, because I was previously just okay with throwing the summons away because I just found it kind of tedious and annoying. Alright, back to it. Others, they've added some extra perks to the privilege card, so you get an extra 30 maximum stamina. And just because this is paired to that point, you also just generally gain 40 max stamina now. So I have 240 max stamina, as you can see. So that's a good change. There is a big discount to the first purchase of a privilege card, and the privilege card now grants 3.5% speed unlocked to players, not just 3 times speed, because 3 times speed is already unlocked in a few places. I've never bought the privilege card, so there's a £5 discount on the privilege card, so it's £4.50 for the first month. I'm still not going to buy it personally for me, because I don't like subscription services. I really don't like subscriptions. I keep mine down to a minimum in my private life, so unless they want to give it to me as a content creator perk, I'm not going to have the privilege card no matter what they do to it. And besides that, they've added a Portuguese language setting. They've added some animation optimizations for battle and for death, displaying HP and shield, and there's some more resources that can be previewed, making Hero Fusion heroes more visible, loading quality of things, making newly obtained gear more visible, optimize the animation and operation of filtering and selling gear, and auto fighting guild boss now skips the team deployment phase because, hey, you've already got your team selected if it's auto, optimize model quality of certain heroes, changed epic lord and dual faction summoning animations, and optimize skills page, red dot notifications, a bunch of stuff that's kind of, you know, just a bit of fixing and bug fixing and tweaking. So not really too much to go over in the rest of the update. The main changes are really new gear sets, in my opinion, signals that the new stages for Gear Raid 3 will be coming. That's my belief. The changes to the rest of this are not super important. I like the changes to the quest series. I think those are really good. The hero AoE damage mechanics I wish was transparent beforehand. I can understand certain things are, you know, just probably legacy changes they've had for ages that they haven't looked at, but I'm glad that they're removing that, and I'm glad they told us because, you know, maybe we can try something now. Changes to Avaline, I don't care. Changes to Estrid are pretty sad. I'm not happy about that. Changes to Reeve, I guess, are cool. From this, you can almost certainly assume that Captain Reeve will be returning as a summon sometime soon. Otherwise, they wouldn't do this. This is kind of just getting people's interests peaked in Captain Reeve again, because probably there's going to be another summon event for Reeve very soon, I would assume. Most likely, they'll put him up for some kind of Easter event. We've got Easter coming up. They're probably going to do an Easter thing, and I'm guessing you can get Captain Reeve again over Easter. So if you want Captain Reeve, then be prepared for it. Maybe save a bunch of summons. He is a decent hero. He is very unique in what he does. He is a cursed faction defender, so Reeve definitely has a place, and he is more unique than most heroes, and having these benefits are probably worth it as well. So I would suggest saving for Captain Reeve. I predict he will be available again soon. That's pretty much the update covered. I will be doing some more stuff soon. Mainly, I'm going to be doing an account takeover for my friend Farrat. I'm going to be doing a whole load of summons on his account, and because it's a pretty strong stacked account full of heroes and awakenings, I'm going to see how far I can push things in the game, so that'll be a fun experiment for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a lovely weekend. Take care, and bye-bye.